before I could even become a good prospector, I had ups and downs because my life was up and down.
This is for the reps in the middle who want the promotion, the consistency, the breakthrough. Let's talk about what it actually takes.
That before you can become great at the job, you have to be great in your life.
In this episode of Under Oath, powered by Rankings.io, the elite legal marketing agency, the guys put prospecting on the stand.
I knew every time I said next, didn't matter how many no's I got, I would eventually get to a yes if I just kept going.
Welcome back to Under Oath, where revenue takes the steam. Back in the studio, Zach, Cole, how we doing, fellas?
Couldn't be any better.
Man, I'm happy to be here. Doing great.
What about you, Scott?
I have a friend who says
ones for the team today and hosting this on vacation. So, most importantly, how are you, Scott?
You know what? The Under Oath fans, we got to prioritize them. And if that means I got to pop away from the family, hop in a closet and record an episode, it's for the gram, you know?
Yeah. All 13 of them really appreciate you.
That's right. I'm in Seattle right now. It's my hometown. We we did the Seattle day, Pike's Place, walked to the stadiums. Little word of advice for anyone thinking about doing that with like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Just go ahead and don't do that with a 2 and 4-year-old.
Chalk that up to him.
I think it's pretty great for 5 and older, but anything other than that, not a great time. So
noted.
That's a lesson I learned yesterday. That's if I'm bringing something to the table. That's what I brought to the table.
There you go. Easy enough. Check mark.
Check mark. We got it. Okay, guys. Today we got a good episode. We're gonna do kind of a 2-parter. So in this episode, the theme of the episode for this one and the next one is going to be going from good to great. Really, if you've been that seller who's kind of middle of the road, you've maybe hit your quota occasionally, but like maybe not consistently, or you've kind of bumped up and down, and you're trying to get like, how do I get in contention for a promotion? How do I consistently hit my quota? How do I get off a PIP? Whatever, right? Like you've kind of just been in the middle. We want to talk about going from good to great. And this episode is going to be focused on prospecting. That's the topic for today. I don't have my gavel, but just imagine I'm
Tink, tink.
tink, tink. Quorum's down session. For the first segment here, we call it our opening statements. This is where we take something from our personal experience, something we've learned in our roles. So in my case, I'm in sales enablement, something I've learned in sales enablement about going from good to great. Obviously, Zach is a CRO, Cole's VP of sales, right? Something we've learned in our respective seats about going from good to great in the realm of prospecting. Zach, we'll start with you. Like, what's something you've learned as a sales leader that would be helpful for the listeners?
Yeah, I think over my time is, I guess you can call it climbing the ranks of going up through leadership, and then my now not even 1 month of CRO experience is to go from good to great. You're not going to do it alone. It's going to be who you attach your buggy to. You got to have really good people around you. I talk about letting experts be experts a lot. And I think giving them the autonomy to be experts, has really been the catalyst in my career, that I used to try to do everything, have my hand in everything, because I felt if I wasn't involved in it, it was going to fail. And I failed more often than not because of that, because I can't be everywhere. I can't make every decision. I can't be an expert in every facet. So for me, it was believing in the people that I was attaching my name to, and vice versa, and letting us kind of be experts in our respective lanes. And that's really what took me from a good place to a great place.
And do you feel like, Zach, as a seller, do you notice when reps are doing that, when reps are saying like, hey, like I'm great at this, I'm going to focus on this? Like, is that something that's a learned skill? Do you see that change happen with people around you?
I think it's something that you have to empower your reps to do. Right, because a lot of times the companies I've been at is that you do have to wear a lot of hats. And then that's the unfortunate side. Like I've had to do that. Cole's had to do that. Scott, you've had to do that. Sometimes it's just the necessary evil that comes with it. But the second you can have that autonomy to kind of open up a little bit, you should know yourself well enough of what I would offload first, right? What is going to make me more impactful in my day? Are there things that I cannot stand doing that gives me the quote unquote burnout? You should be so aware of that. That way, the second the opportunity comes, you should not only know it, but you should have the plan in place that you would do if the opportunity presented itself to offload that thing.
Yeah, totally. Makes sense. Cole, what about you? You're a little more on the ground with reps who are trying to go from good to great. What do you see? What's something you've learned as a VP of sales or kind of a sales leader that stands out in your mind?
Yeah, it's not a linear path, right? The path to becoming great at anything is an up and down battle, right? It's not that straight line approach. I think there's a lot of times people think I'm just going to get better and better and better, and things get easier and easier and easier. And the fact is, it's likely the opposite. The more you grow into different roles and different responsibilities, it gets harder, right? And we've had episodes where we talk about failure, and you get into those situations and you have to fail. You have to learn. You have to understand your mistakes, your gaps, what you do badly that you need to improve on. If you're in a leadership role, where are the gaps within your team, your org? Are you capable of solving that? Is that somebody else that needs to solve that? So it's a lot of recognition, self-reflection, and understanding that it's growing to be great comes with intense challenges, right? And when you're in those intense challenges, it's okay to recognize that this is a moment for you to learn on so you can become that great person.
Love that. Yeah, I do think there's a recognition there where you have to kind of decide, like, do I want this? You know, I think a lot of times people will step into it and be like, yeah, like I'm doing my job, I'm doing my part, and you see what those results are, right? To get to that next level, it's like, okay, this is going to be a little bit more of an investment, you know, and I have to. It's like deciding to save up for something or deciding to like go hard on a budget. Like, it's a big life change, and like you have to be like, am I willing to do this?
Yeah, that's a major factor. Not only do you want it, but am I willing to do what it takes to get there? And I think if you're thinking that way, you're on the path already to being great at a craft.
And the good news is, if you're willing to do those things, you should take solace in the fact that you just put yourself above everybody else, because most of the time the answer is no.
Right. Yeah. That and yeah, I think that's a good question. That'd be a good sticky note question. It's like, am I willing? Like, am I willing to go put myself, you know, come a little bit earlier, stay a little bit later, work a little bit harder, right? Like, am I willing? You know, like, really first you got to answer that question before you say like, well, what am I doing wrong? It's like, well, maybe make sure your head is in the right headspace first, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
I think from my perspective in enablement, one thing I've noticed with people who tend to go from good to great, they're people who aren't trying to just do it all by themselves. Like, they're not saying like, I've got this, I've got it all figured out. Like, I'll just lone wolf this forever. Even in our company, some of the best salesmen here, they come to me still. They rely on me and my team, my resources. They recognize that, like, hey, I can't do all this alone, and I need this team to support me. And so I think that's a good check. Like, what am I using? Am I using my one-on-one time with my manager effectively? Or is it just kind of like how you doing? Good. Yep, it's great, right? Like, am I leveraging that for coaching? Do I have sales support? Am I reaching out to them? Am I tapping in with other parts of the department to learn the marketing motion, to learn the product motion, right? Or am I just kind of like in the train waiting to get to the destination, right? Like, how proactive am I being? So I think that tends to be a good indicator of people going from good to great. It's like they're just involved in all the other people supporting them, and they want it, right? That they're reaching out as people, they're building those relationships. All right, now it's time to move into our cross-examination stage. This is where I kind of drill Zach and Cole predominantly on the topic, just a little bit more in depth. Zach, I want to start with you. Again, we're talking about prospecting here, right? So in your experience, you've been around a lot of sellers. You've been a seller. You've managed sellers. What do the best prospectors do before they even pick up the phone? In your mind, what did you do, or what have you seen folks do that are different from people who are just kind of doing this the middle of the road?
I'm going to take this probably a different direction than most people are going to think. And I talk quite a bit about, I don't believe in work-life balance because I think those things are very intertwined. For me personally, because that's the experience I have to speak on, I became the best version of myself. And what the story I'm about to speak on is, I was a prospector. I was an individual contributor. When I got my personal life under control, not going out, late nights, my money, all those things got right in my personal life, it made me a better seller / prospector. And those things go hand in hand. Consistency and having that routine down of getting in bed at a decent hour, getting up and having the routine of who I'm going to prospect and who I'm going to go after. It puts you in a good mindset. So before I could even become a good prospector, I had ups and downs because my life was up and down. I wasn't having consistency in it. And once I got, Scott, you just touched on the budget thing a second ago, right? Once I started budgeting properly and I didn't need money desperately every month, I started selling differently. I started prospecting differently, right? Because I didn't need you to buy off of me. And so I know it might be a little different than what you were asking from a question standpoint, but I truly believe that before you can become great at the job, you have to be great in your life, because that brings the consistency to start those great habits professionally. I've never met a high performer that just falls apart in their regular life. And I mean that there's so many people that are super successful in their job are probably also super successful in their personal life. And those typically go hand in hand. So for me, once I got those things under control, it made me a lot better at prospecting. Then it goes into the actual question is, I had a routine every morning that I got into. Right? Like I'm not throwing spaghetti at a wall to see what sticks. I'm checking out an ICP. I'm having people I want to go after. My first selling job, I was boots on the ground, right? I was door knocking. So I wasn't going to drive around aimlessly. I was going to go I had a list. I knew exactly who I wanted to go to. I had my talking points that I wanted to do. So I think having a structure, having a routine, once you're in the job matters. But I got to be honest, I think it's everything prior to the job is what sets you up for success inside the job.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I think it's kind of like if you've ever woken up late and kind of have brain fog and you like stumble into work and it's kind of like, oh yeah, sorry, hang on, let me just like get my life together really quick, right? It's like you are so clearly not in any position to be successful over there, right? And it sounds like what you're saying, Zach, is like that type of person who's like, I'm getting up an hour early, I'm eating a little bit healthier, I've taken a walk, maybe went to the gym. You've cleared your mind, you've cleared your palate, your brain's already working, right? You're not losing an hour, that first hour of work, slowly catching up to the job, right? Like you've been thinking about the job going into the job. So you're hitting the ground running, right? And this is the compounding interest of selling, right? Like if you're thinking about like, how do I get better? Well, you maximize the time that you're working, right? There's all this waste. There's all this time where you can kind of like piddle around, leave a little bit early, start a little bit later, take a long lunch, and that's fine. But if you are in that middle of the pack, it's part of it's because you're not working as many hours, right? Like you like really at peak, working capacity, really at your best, right? And so I like that point, Zach, of like get your mind at its best point first, so that you are sharp. And then when you get into that motion of like getting a call, you're just that much sharper on the phone, that much sharper thinking about, oh, this person would love this. Oh, like what if I go to this website? Like you're just more, you have that, the creative juices flowing and all that stuff matters when you're trying to convert.
We talk about sports a lot. Like we do a lot of sports analogies, and think about the job as the same way as a professional athlete. Like you have to prepare for the game, right? You go and take your cold bath, cold plunge, you eat healthy, like you get in the gym, you get your shots up, you get your sleep, you have a routine. It's so dialed in by the minute for professional athletes. It's the same way for a professional job, right? That we're coming to. I know for a fact when my day was off prior, it affects me the next day coming into work, right? As you said, brain fog. I don't feel the same. I didn't get enough sleep, whatever it may be. You should treat yourself like a professional athlete because you're getting paid, right, to do this at a high level. And same thing you said about equity, like you're building that up. The best thing, and I'm not saying everybody needs to go look for a wife or a husband or whatever it may be, but like the best thing I ever did, I got married at 24, right? Like that centered me so well that I focused myself. And that's truly what shifted my mentality, because I was not the focused individual that I am today until I got married, or started dating her and made those things, part of my daily routine and consistency. I wasn't worried about the other things. I was worried about my wife and building my family and providing. And that brought the consistency, that brought the focus. And then I started learning. I was like, oh, when my personal is really good, my professional is really good. And that translates into, success in a lot of ways.
Love that. Cool. In your seat, part of the sales gig is rejection. That's part of it. You get rejected constantly, especially when you're prospecting. You get a lot of no's. What do you see from middle of the road reps when they get rejected? And what do you see from great reps when they get rejected? And how do you help people kind of bridge that gap?
Yeah, this one's tough. And I think some parts you either have it or you don't, right? Because rejection's hard in any stage, in any situation. But especially when it's when your financial gain and your professional gain hinges on yeses, right? So when you get no's, it can be really devaluing to your self-esteem or your headspace that you're in. I've always just looked at no's as numbers, right? It's a natural occurrence within the game of sales. It truly is just a number. Anytime I got a no, same thing as Zach. I was my first true sales role. I worked for Aflac, and I door swung into businesses trying to sell insurance. Which, if you've ever talked to an insurance rep or sold insurance, it's not a very attractive conversation.
That's a grind.
Nobody really is like, yeah, I've been dying to talk insurance with you, So I had a lot of no's, and it was frustrating. You'd go a whole day and not get a single yes, but I looked at it as numbers. And I read it somewhere, heard it somewhere once, that it was literally just a 4-letter word, and I've used it my entire life, which just is the word next. Anytime I got a no, I just say next. Next, 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 next. And eventually you get that yes. And then you get to ride that high for a minute, and then you go back into your no grind. Next, 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 yes. And the reason why I liked that is I knew every time I said next, didn't matter how many no's I got, I would eventually get to a yes if I just kept going. So a lot of it's just grit and determination. But in the moment, it's just recognizing that it's a part of the world that we're in. And even if you really want somebody, that no in this moment doesn't mean it's a no forever in the sales game, right? Circle back in a month, new value, new offer that you're making, new intro, right? Like the no is not always a forever.
Maybe it was a rough day in the office for the person you're talking to. They could have been going through a hard day, and you just caught them.
The amount of times I've called somebody back a week later and they had no idea that they told me no a week ago. Countless times, right? So yeah, it's just no today. And then it was like, oh, actually, this sounds great. And I was like, this is the exact same thing I said to you a week ago, but it landed differently today. Right?
So, how many times have we walked in places and they were like, man, it's like the Lord knew what I needed today, because we were just having that conversation. Like, exactly. You truly just don't know what happened in that moment.
Yeah.
To your insurance question, man, I've had 3 people come to complain to me about insurance this morning. I would love to talk to you about it. Like, exactly. You just truly never know.
And that happened a lot of times in the insurance space. I was like, man, I called you 2 months ago and nothing. Yeah, I would never do this. And I was just like, I'm going to go back into Bob here. And Bob was like, I actually needed to talk to you about insurance. My employees.
Same when we were selling websites door to door or, business to business. We'd walk in and somebody would be like, man, I just had a customer complain about my website. And sure, let's talk about it. Like, you truly don't know. It's why you can't take no's to heart, because the next day could be a yes from the same person.
Yeah. And it's not a personal attack on you, right? That no, to me, they know nothing about me as a human, who I am as a person. So I think a lot of times people take no's personally. And my advice is just like, you have to learn to separate yourself from that no, because it's not you. It's the situation. It's the way you framed it, maybe, but it's not you as a person. So if you take that internal, you will live in a rut. But if you just let it be breeze right over, you will get another shot at that prospect.
They say, yeah, have that goldfish mentality, just like 3 seconds. You're like, huh, what? It's just gone. Like it doesn't even affect you.
You got to fall in love.
I think you touched on something important there, Cole, which is like, it's not just, so one, identifying like it's a numbers game. This is part of the gig, right?
Yep.
Don't take it personally, right? Like it sucks getting told no, but one, you need to change your perspective of like, this is a numbers game. And the second thing is there is a certain level of conditioning, right? Like, yeah, it sucks at first, but over time you kind of talked about like, yeah, next. And as you do this, as you don't fear the no doesn't affect you as much, right? I was just chatting with somebody the other day about, I think they call it no therapy, where what you do is you go to restaurants and you ask for things that you expect to get a no from, where you go up and say, hey, can you give me some fries for free with this? And they're like, no. And you ask like, hey, can I get free shipping on that? And they're like, no. And then what ends up happening is that every once in a while they're like, sure. Yeah, here's a discount. Sure. Why not? And it does two things. One, it opens your eyes to how often actually people will say yes if you just keep asking. And how your attitude and the way you ask actually matters to this kind of stuff. And then two, it just gets you more comfortable hearing the word no and just letting it roll off. It's like, people, that person was having a bad day, or like, yeah, whatever. And then when you get on the phones, it's like, no sweat. Right? Yeah, it's one of the necessary.
You have to fall in love with the word no. When Cole and I used to work together, at the first place we ever met, we were doing outside business to business sales. We used to have competitions because we'd walk in places together. So we knew that you weren't just, butchering it, but we would have competitions of who could get the most no's in a day by just a normal pitch. Loser buys lunch the next day, right? Like, just to fall in love with the word no. Like, make a game. You got to make a game out of it, because you're going to get told no. And take a second and think how many times you say no a day to people, right? And you don't mean nothing by it. I just don't want the Terminex guy at my door, right? Like, I just don't want to be sold bug spray today.
Or if you have a youngin', right? You are constantly saying no to a top.
Get you a 3-year-old. You'll learn no real quick.
Yeah. And I think that's a great call out, Zach. It's like we say no constantly. And yeah, usually it's not like this person I hate is at my door. It's like, listen, I got other stuff going on. I got a crying kid. I'm already using pest control, but every once in a while that pest control does call and you're like, you know what? Like, my pest control company pissed me off. I'm glad you're here. Like, what do you got?
My wife was complaining about ants earlier, but I'm glad you're here.
You know how many times I switched internet providers because I've been mad at my internet company, and the new guy shows up at the door and I'm like, you came at the perfect time. I was not interested in switching, but because you're here, I will switch to you guys. Better deal. You're here. The internet dropped 3 times. Whatever it is, right? So it's timing, it's positioning. But again, it's just understanding that in sales, no is a part of it. And if you take that to heart, you will not reach those heights that you're looking for. You have to let it be just a breeze by.
Yeah. To the middle of the road seller who like is trying to get ahead, right? I think it's good to do an audit of all these things we've been talking about, right? Is part of the reason that I'm failing is after I get no, I get in a little slump, right? Is my head set in the right spot? Do I want it? Am I putting in, investing in the right number of things? Am I leveraging the sales support, the one-on-one, the coaching, right? Or am I just showing up, doing what I'm told, reading the script, waiting for the deals, right?
If you on a middle of the road seller, and I think I can break it down super simple, just from knowing myself, knowing sellers I've been around, sellers I've managed, sellers I've watched managers manage. Typically, they're just not working. They think they are, but they're just not. And when you're trying to make a name for yourself and get where you're wanting to go, you should be finding loopholes in how to work more, right? If you are an Eastern time zone person, you should be calling from Eastern through Pacific, right? Like that, you should be dialing past the number that's the minimum. Like typically that is where I have always seen like, oh, I've worked 5 hours today list building. No, you haven't. You may have thought about it. So it typically comes down to how much you're working. The other stuff, the work ethic comes first and foremost. And that's where I've seen most people not be able to get it. And then that's your middle of the road seller.
Cool. A final thought about going from good to great in regards to prospecting. What would you leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I think that one of the most important skill sets you can learn that truly takes people from good to GOAT or good to great is listening and comprehension, which is, we talked about prospecting and that component. But when you do have that conversation with somebody, it's truly understanding the words that they're saying and listening for the moments of opportunity for yourself and writing those down. And I say writing those down because it's important, right? You can't remember everything. You have to be able to take every part of a conversation and build up ammunition for yourself later. But that comes from strategic listening and not just asking questions with your own goal in mind. It's truly being curious and wanting to know more about whoever's in front of you's business.
100%. Yeah, I think a helpful exercise. I'm a big believer in self-auditing often, and just going down the list of like, what am I doing? What am I doing well? What am I doing okay? What am I not doing okay? And just being exhaustive as you can about that. And then looking at those people who you admire, who are those top performers. What have they figured out that I'm not doing, right? And kind of compare and contrast, right? And then you make it just a little action plan. Like, you don't have to fix everything overnight. You pick one area where you're like, all right, they're doing this and I'm not doing that. I'm going to start doing that. Or I'm going to start building a pathway up so I can start doing that more, right? Zach, you talked about a lot of things of like, they come in and man, it seems like they're ready to go and I'm not. What could I do to change that? What are some tweaks I can make in my morning, right? Getting up just a little bit earlier, going on a walk, drinking coffee a little bit earlier, whatever it might be, right? Find those things that you can kind of align with some of those people that you're trying to aspire to, right? And if you're constantly doing this, you're constantly looking for areas of improvement, you will improve. It's when we settle. It's when we say like, hey, I don't know, man, I got a bad book. Like, hey, it's just I got a bad boss, or like, yeah, it's a rough time of year. Like, that's when you're just settling for kind of mediocrity. Like, there is always room for improvement, and the people who are just constantly looking for room for improvement tend to be the ones who end up being great. Okay, boys, got some great stuff in the pipeline coming up. We're excited about, but give us a listen, give us a share. Court is now dismissed.